Hi, this is Day by Day coming to you on Saturday around noon. It is October 12th, 2019, and I am doing a macro Bitcoin update. Now, I'm zooming out to a 9-day. Unfortunately, Bitcoin does not have enough data to really do a solid MTF. That's just the way that it is. Uh, there's not enough to really go on strong cycles, especially the way that it typically trends, because what it does is it does not have uh, a lot of up and down moves. It usually trends in one direction for a while, and it repeats those types of historical cyclical patterns that lead to extensions. And I'm going to try to do my best here on what I think is going on. So let's get to it. So what I'm looking at is basically curves derived by math formulas that I've created to track trends of volume and price, and I've done that on a very macro basis. I can't really go further than this because I just won't have enough to crunch the numbers and give me these types of relationship patterns. So what I see is this particular moment here on a 9-day chart. This cross happened right here. The price curve is extending far into the upside from the volume curve. And that brings me to this moment in roughly March of 2016 that had a similar kind of pattern. And this kind of pattern is going to make it hard for both bulls and bears, because what it looks like is dead action that will have some bounces, have some declines, and eventually lead to a big bullish move, according to what I see here. So this particular line, if we look at the parallel right here, we are still expecting this sideways flat line into roughly January 2020 before a bit of a bounce, as in this moment. And then even after that, if we take this area here, that bounce is pretty extended with time into roughly this moment, which is why I drew that little curve. And that curve leads us to a date range of approximately June of 2020. So I can go ahead and label that June of 2020 here, 6/2020, for some kind of expectation in the future. Now, that being said, I do see certain signals on the micro that do suggest we will have some upside and that we won't completely trade flat. And I'm going to show you what all of that looks like zoomed in. So that would put us in this range of the 65 MA on the 9-day and lead us to resistance of a lower high right here into this Kelt band. And maybe, there's always a possibility that we can break up through the Kelt band first and create sort of a head fake before coming down and doing and repeating this type of action. So again, let's now go ahead and zoom in to see what things look like. So what I have here zoomed in. So what I have here zoomed in is this particular structure. This ellipse, which is a time ellipse, it's a cycle ellipse, is based on my 9-day. This one is based on this smaller one, I believe was based on a smaller time frame. Let me take a look at that. My 4-day. So both of those cycles are kind of going hand in hand, and one is bigger than the other because that's how it looks when you zoom out and then go, zoom back in. Those little circles that you draw become looking much more magnified up close. So here's what I see that gives me a bullish edge into what I see as the near foreseeable future that leads to this pattern. What I see is I could see volume increasing right here. If I go to a 3-day, this is my tell right here that there is an edge in the near coming future through this cycle volume. And same thing right here. This is coming up right here, but it's now beginning to wilt. And on the 5-day, it's on the mat, and we have my volume slope curves actually trending downward this way. If I zoom out even further, again, continuation of zooming out where this is my slope indicator of a trend, and as you can see, when that is sloping higher, that's a good thing. When that is sloping downward, that's not such a good thing. So if I continue to do that, you can see the angle of this slope is coming down like this. But then as we approach that 9-day, we have some macro tells that I've been talking about here. So this is my best expectation at this point. The most realistic expectation that is neither extremely bullish nor extremely bearish. More than likely, it is more like what I discussed in that boring range right here, where in roughly October of 2015 we were at $230, and I actually owned Bitcoin during this whole period of time and experienced this entire move up from here. And so I believe that this is probably what just happened, analogous to this move right here. So this is like our $200 area related to this, 3,500 area analogously. And now we've just come through with this big move up, and now we are consolidating further with time and moving towards what would eventually become this very large parabolic up move. And that is what is on my mind. And this cycle right here, which is approximately anywhere between October 18th to October 30th, I'm expecting this wedge to break upward into this area of approximately $11,000 range. So let me go ahead and label these. And then this is that elongated move which brings us to this much bigger cycle time ellipse, all meeting, creating this big up move in January of 2020, but then just doing nothing but sort of wedging down with time and staying flat until the big move that I would see in June of 2020. And I'll periodically update this, but there really isn't any reason to at the moment. You got to kind of wait in time. Sometimes Bitcoin and other cryptos really do nothing, and it's, you know, there's no interesting action. And in terms of time, I mean, you're going to have one big move. Great if you're there. You know, if you're a hodler, this is what you're waiting for. I am a hodler, and that is what I'm waiting for. And the reason why I'm a hodler is because I've held from $200. So it makes sense for me to be a hodler until I get my large big move. And I'm kind of in the same camp as seeing what the other analyst Bob Lucas sees in terms of having a 4-year journey. So I'm giving him some props here and recognition for him to advise that if you are a hodler, you need patience. And you need a lot of patience, and you're waiting for that move, because if you're out of the move, Bitcoin can do very unexpected things and you may miss out completely. If you're not a hodler and you're just trying to trade the ups and downs, that's great too. And maybe this path can help you in terms of what to expect, at least cycle-wise. So that pretty much concludes my update, and I will update further if anything really changes in the volume to price math that I'm seeing. And if anything happens sooner, I'll be sure to update. But at this point, this is just the most realistic bet. As much as I really, really want to be bullish, obviously, because hey, I've been holding Bitcoin from $200. There's nothing more in the world that I would love than for Bitcoin to go to, $250,000 as soon as possible. But I've also been through all of the ups and downs, and along with other cryptos, and I'm going to be unbiased and just not too bearish, not too bullish for all of this amount of time until the time cycles play out. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and that concludes my update. Thanks.